How's everybody doing today? Sorry I'm running late from work today. Got anything anybody wants to work on? Um, right now I'm still investigating servos. Everybody hear me okay, or is the sound not good? Okay, well, I can show you another tutorial that I'm working on. Okay, that's good. Sorry I'm trying to eat at the same time. I just got out of work, so I'll actually show you what I'm eating, but no, it's not that interesting. So yesterday I tried to record a tutorial and apparently made some mistakes. So if no one has any questions, I guess I'll try and re-record it here for you. Essentially what I'm trying to do is show people how to use the TMC 5160. It's a higher power stepper. Essentially, I had some issues with the recording that didn't seem quite right. Yeah, it's from a Chinese restaurant down the street. But right now I'm gonna see if I can walk through this tutorial again, like I was doing Sunday. I built up a new streaming station for those that don't know why it looks different. The camera now is in the center of the table, and it's suspended without a tripod. So I'll start the tutorial in a second. Essentially, it's a Big Tree Tech SKR Pro, and it's relatively simple to set up. Well, it's always nice to have somebody take care of your menu for you, though. So, what type of boards do each one of you guys use? Is it SKR 1.4, 1.3? GTR? Sorry, I got food in my mouth. Just trying to get things staged correctly over here. Turbos. Not sure which one that is. Let me look that up real quick. Oh, you're talking about SKR Turbo. Okay, I think I got the food out of the way for now. So you're talking about the turbo with the SKR though, instead of the regular 1.4. So I gotta check some camera angles real quick here. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay. So basically, the other day I tried to record a tutorial on this being Sunday, and had some issues with the way I recorded it. It was terrible. Well, wasn't suitable to release as a actual video. So essentially I need to re-record it because a lot of people are asking for videos because they don't want to watch the entire live stream. So at least you can see what the work is behind it and how hilarious it can be for me to do, because I make lots of mistakes when I record tutorials. So I'm going to try and explain it topically and then explain how to set it up. So a couple things I need to set up on my side is I need to set up a default user environment before I actually run it. So I have to reset all my files. So the first thing I do is I delete the previous build that I have and unzip a new one. But I'm not going to show you all those details because it's kind of boring. It's just extracting files. And I'll check on the chat before I begin, and then I'll answer questions when I finish. It's only going to be a couple minutes. I'll try and talk as fast and clear as possible. But essentially, it shows how to hook this up. I just have to pull up the information on the Big Tree Tech website real quick. Oops. Apparently, GitHub wants to show me new stuff. There's the SKR Pro. Manual. Bring up the manual. Hopefully it's the right one. The user manual. I gotta scan through it real quick. There we go. Okay, that's UART. And we're in spy mode. So, I'm going to start any second. I just have to reset one last thing, and that's my pronter face, because it's not in the right position. There we go. Now let's make sure I can see everything. So essentially, I'm just going through OBS right now and checking to see that I can see stuff, so that when I transition between screens, you know what I'm talking about. Let me check on the chat before I start speaking like crazy. Okay, here we go. So, let me click record. Clear my throat a little here. And here we go. Today we're going to talk about how to install the TMC 5160 on the Big Tree Tech SKR version 1.4. Now there's a couple of steps that we have to look into. So we're going to look at the chipset real quick for the stepper driver. So I'm going to zoom in here. And as you can see, the stepper has a little 0 ohm resistor on it, and that 0 ohm resistor says SPY next to it, so that's the configuration that we need to look up. It's located right over here. So I'm going to show you how we have to configure it for the main board, because we need to know what the jumper settings are. So I'm going to go over to my browser for a second, and on the Big Tree Tech website, they show the configuration for the jumpers in this red square. So we've got to double check that for our X stepper driver. Now, just so you know, the actual stepper drivers have an enable pin up here in the upper left-hand corner. You can see the little EN. That tells us where we have to configure it. And so there's little pins that normally are there for diag. That will help us locate the correct orientation. But I'll show you a couple of tricks that we can use. So I'm going to go back to the workbench. And on the workbench, as you can see, the enable pin is located here on the board for each of one of these X, Y, Z, E0, E1, and E2. And the enable pin is located right over here on the stepper. So we know that our actual jumpers are in the correct place because the last one over here is UART, which we don't touch. But these jumpers are the default configuration that you find on your board. So to hook this up, what you can do is look at it on the side. It's yellow and black. That means that the red is going to correspond to the yellow. So we're just going to slide this in and push down. That's all we have to do to hook up that configuration. But I do have to show you that I want to hook up everything else here. So I'm going to hook up the actual DuPont connector to the 4-pin stepper driver on the motor. And then I also want to hook up the power. And currently the system is de-energized, meaning there's no power going through it. So I'm going to push this up, and down here we have the motors, and then we have the power for the board. Now on mine I've marked red for where the voltage goes so that it corresponds to the wiring. Then the other one is black, and that's just so that I don't hook it up incorrectly. I'm going to make sure these are nice and loose, and then I'm just going to slide these in. These come with their board. And just so you know, no one's paying me or sponsoring me to do this tutorial, but I will place Amazon affiliate links in the description for your convenience. Let me slide this in. Also, those Amazon affiliate links help me offset the cost when you make a purchase so that I can buy more equipment for more tutorials. But if you just want a tip, that's okay too. A lot of people have been doing that lately, and I'm extremely grateful because boards can be somewhat cost prohibitive. So let me slide this in. So now these are all tightened down. For safety, I'm going to put this down over it. And it is in the voltage position for the jumper. If you were to run with USB power, we'd do that, but we're not doing that. We're going to actually run on direct power. So I'm going to hook this up first. And this I'll hook up in a moment. Actually though, I'm going to disconnect it for the moment just so we can pop out the drive. This is the SD card. Originally I was incorrect with the SD card. I thought it had to be 128 megabytes, but apparently I've been able to do it upwards of 8 gigabits now. So I have a little converter device here that I'm going to use. I'm going to slide it in here so I can attach it to my computer so I can then move the actual binary onto here. So I'm going to put this in my computer. Then I'm going to go over to VS Code. And inside VS Code, I'm going to go over to, hang on, let me make this so it actually can view better. I'm going to click on Explorer. Then I'm going to open the folder. Then I'm going to say, go to my Downloads folder, then my Marlin 2.0, Marlin 2.0 again. And this has been downloaded and extracted. That's why I'm doing that. Then I'm going to say Select Folder. Inside Select Folder, I'm going to go to the Marlin folder, then the Source folder, then the Core folder, then Boards.h. Inside Boards.h, I'm going to search on SKR. And I'm going to do _pro, and that'll bring us to our version of the board, and I'll copy that. Then I'll close out of core and source, go to configuration.h, and search on motherboard, and I'll paste over the ramps, which is the default configuration. Then I also have to change the serial port to -1. And then we need to set up the stepper driver. So I'm going to search on A4988. And I'm going to remove the comment so that we can actually change this to a specialized driver. So the stepper driver in this case is the 5160. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it here. Then I'm going to scroll down, and over here we have our default access steps per unit. These correlate to something in the advanced configuration, so let me show you that real quick. So if we search on 800 and go down a little bit, we can get to X current. This 16 number is correlated to that 80 number. So if we go over here, we can change this to 160, but that means that we've got to change this to 32. And if you were to go up even higher, instead of 160, you do 320. And this adds precision to your stepping, allegedly. Then you would need to change this to 64. And this will go all the way up to 256. So if you were to do it 2 more times, or 1 more time, we'll say, just so you can see another example, you can do 640. Then this would be 128. And then obviously the next one is a doubling again, and this goes to 256. Now, the other things that we need to set when doing this, we need to set, first of all, software_spy. And here we need to enable it by removing the comment. Then we want to enable debugging. But before we do that, we want to go back to the 800 for a second because there's something I forgot to show you. And so it's going to take me a second to get back here. We also have to change the X resistor sense. So the correct value that I've heard is 0.75. So that's 0.075 for this value. So now we need to set up debugging, which is going to be TMC_debug. And the first thing that we need to set up is actually monitor driver status. This will allow us to use some of these G codes. And then we're going to search on it a second time so that we can actually use this G code of M122. And I'll show you why we use that in just a moment. So let's go back here, and there's one last thing I want to show you. And what you need to do is search on for inverting. And the reason that I'm showing this is because sometimes the direction of your end stop will be in the opposite direction that you think it'll be in. So in this case, I'm going to leave it alone. But if your end stop is in the opposite direction, you would change your false to true. And if it's the other way, then it would be true to false. So that'll cause it to move towards the end stop in the correct direction. You may have to do this twice to figure it out. So now that that's set, we're going to go to platformio.ini, and our default environment right now is set to the Mega 2560, which is not the correct configuration for this chipset. We have to search on SKR_Pro, and this will bring us to our default environment, which we can copy. So now I'm going to scroll back up here and paste it over where the Mega 2560 is. And all we have to do is do a clean in case there's another build that was there. And then we're going to do a build with the checkbox. And this is a combination of compiling multiple things. And you'll see this in just a second. So if I click on that, it'll start to download whatever framework's needed. And then it will start to compile the individual packages. After this completes, we're going to actually move it to our drive so that we can load it. And I'll show you how to do that in just a second. It only takes about 25 seconds for this to finish, and we're pretty close to doing that. Okay, it's winding down. There it goes. So it was 34 seconds. Sorry about that. We're going to go to the .pio folder, then the build folder, then BigTreeTech_SKR_Pro. Then we're going to right click and we're going to say Reveal in Explorer. Then we're going to go inside the SKR Pro folder, go to the firmware.bin, right click. We're going to send it to our USB drive. That's the SD card that we're using. And then we're going to remove that from the computer. And we're going to go over to our desktop for a second to install it. So I'll show you that. So over here, we're going to remove the drive. And we're going to place it inside our SD card reader. And push that in. Next, we're going to attach our USB cable. And then we're going to attach our power. Now this is the moment of truth. If something goes wrong, we'll know almost right away. So I'm going to plug that in. And so far, it looks like it's flashing down in here, so that's good. So we're going to go over to Pronterface, and I'll transition over there so you can see it. And then what I'm going to do is actually show you what it looks like. So give me a second here to set it up. There we go. So inside here, we need to know what the actual device setting is for this. So we're going to go to Device Manager. And we're going to open up Device Manager. And inside Device Manager, as soon as it allows me to pull it across. That's new. We're going to click on Ports. And it's device number 5. Because this is your normal COM port. I'm going to close that. I'm going to go over here and change my port to number 5. And then I'll bring up both views for you here real quick. And I'm going to connect. So now the printer is online. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the x-axis 10 millimeters. Now I'm going to move it back 10 millimeters. So that's all you have to do to set up the actual stepper. So if you like my tutorial, please press the like button and subscribe. And for all the people that have been donating on PayPal and subscribing to Patreon, it's greatly appreciated. So thank you very much and have a nice day. Okay, that was a little long, but hopefully you got a flavor for how I do tutorials. Or I put you to sleep because apparently we only have 2 people left. But that's what it looks like. So let me check to make sure I'm still streaming because I know this breaks down. No, that looks fine. So I'm guessing there's mics in here and I don't know who the other person is right now. I know it was kind of boring what I just did, but apparently I screwed it up the other day by not telling him the actual voltage. But how's everybody doing today? I'm gonna de-energize the system here. Is there something you want to see me work on? Okay, well, I'll show you the process of uploading because it's oh so interesting. I'll bring this up in a second so you can see it. Just need to move it to something that actually makes sense. So here's the process for me doing a video and what it looks like. So I just finished recording this. I don't know how well it's going to come out. This is what I did last night. So I need to actually go to my videos folder, and it may be in a different folder or it may be in the same folder because I didn't change the path. So I'm guessing it's probably this one because that's today. And all I'm doing is uploading the video. Then I'm going to have to change it to whatever I'm working with. In this case, it's the SKR_Pro version 1.1, I think. And then TMC 5160. Then I add all the information down here as to what I'm doing. I think it's like that, but I don't remember. And so this is going to be affiliated linking and stuff and description. But it's kind of boring. Then I add it to a playlist down in here. So I got to find the right playlist. Obviously, I've got a couple of playlists. That's why I've made a mistake on a lot of different things, I guess, is one way to saying it. And of course, I have to monetize it so it has some kind of value, which usually works out to about 50 cents a month. And then suitability, I have to say that it's none of these because we're not using anything. It's not adult content, it's not violence, there's no recreational drug use or anything like that. So video elements, I usually don't do anything with this. And then visibility, I leave it as unlisted until I'm done with it. So this is going to take approximately 15 minutes. So then I just click this and I wait. That's all there is to making tutorials for me. Well, there's more steps, but I have to translate it into foreign languages, but you probably already know that. So that's all I'm doing. Basically, I have a bunch of other videos. I can show you an example of me changing languages. See if I can pull up something. So if I go to my channel, inside here, I have some ones that I haven't touched. So like, I go to playlists. We could go to live streams. Hopefully it won't start playing. Currently this is one I did a while ago. It's basically dual extrusion. Testing closed captioning. So usually what I do is I go into here. I check to see if it's correct for the closed captioning. It looks like I already did it with this one. Then I add languages. So Amharic, I don't know if this one adds. No, that doesn't. But if I go to Armenian, that one should add. Maybe not. That's awesome. Let's pick one that I know. Like Amharic. This is Ethiopian's language. Or Ethiopia's language. Apparently I'm having trouble with it though. So let's see what's going on. If I click over here, assign times, this is actually what I'm talking about, and they put it into words for me. Then I say publish. Now if I go back, hopefully some of these will work, like Amharic, or not. That's awesome. So let's try a different language and see if that works. Bulgarian. There it is. So you can auto-translate into a foreign language and then publish. So that takes me about 45 minutes to do for all the languages. I'm hoping to turn it into a script so that I can do it quicker. But that's how people can see what I'm saying in other countries. Hey, how's it going? Sorry, I'm talking about the behind-the-scenes process of me making videos. Because so far no one's asked for a question. So I'm showing what I normally do for videos. It's a little bit of a lot of back-end steps. So I was showing you guys what it looks like. I think I could show you a couple more, but it's not really interesting. This is Belarusian, which is White Russian. I don't know why they call it Bela. Bela's white in Russian. But then you have Bosnian. But that's essentially all I'm doing for about 45 minutes by hand, so that people can actually see videos in other places. But it's super boring. This process takes a while. After I upload it, the translation from me speaking to closed captioning takes forever. So, is there something you want to see me work on while I'm here? Because I can do other things than make tutorials while you guys watch, and it's probably more interesting. So, if you have a question on like a configuration or how to do something, let me know. You can tell me in the chat. But let me tear this down so I can set up something different. If you're not gonna ask me what you want to see, I'll do something else. Because I got to redo the SKR as well. Essentially, I remade the way that I record now, so it's a little bit easier. You can see what I'm actually working on. But let me put that back on the spot. Pull this off. Eventually I want to make videos on how to carve fruit, which I know is not very interesting to people, but hopefully it'll have a tactile noise to it. Maybe we can figure out how to do. I know. When I always get up. Sorry, I got a pile of boards I have to shuffle through to find one that I'm working with. Here's another board that I haven't done a tutorial on, but I'm going to do it on a different stepper driver. This is for MakerBase. They actually sent me this board to show tutorials, but back then I was a little busy, so now I have more time to actually look at it. So here's the actual board here. That's what it looks like with the actual heating element on top. Then I've got to reset this board so it looks like it's from scratch. So I got to pop out this right here. And I got to make it so the board doesn't slide around on me. So it's modeler's putty. It's for museums. It's non-conductive, so in theory it should be safe. But on this board I've got to figure out how to safely do this with power. So I've got multiple power supplies that I keep stacked up over on the side. See if I can show you this real quick. See if I can zoom out and show you what I'm talking about. Sorry you weren't seeing the workbench while I was talking. So I'm setting up a scene to record. It's for the Big Tree Tech Nano Robin, or Robin Nano. Essentially what I'm trying to do is just make it look nice and neat, and also follow the line where I put the two boards together when I made the table. But this is what the, well, you can't see the full zoom out, so I guess I can't show you that. I actually moved the thing down a little on my jig for recording, so the full view is not possible anymore. So I'd have to move the actual camera up on the shelf again, but I'm gonna leave that for now. I'll check on the chat and see what's going on here. Yeah, sorry about that. I just moved it back over so you can see what I'm talking about. Sometimes I go off on tangents. As you can see, I went off on a tangent for a second. So essentially what I'm doing now is staging another tutorial. This one is different, so I forgot the steps for it. This is a different COM port on the board. So I'm going to connect this just for a second. I think it's COM port 3, so I'm going to do a test build and load and see what happens. So I'll show you that in a second. Essentially what I'm doing is first I'm seeing if it shows up, but apparently it's not. So there might be a power jumper that I have to set. I'm going to unconnect this for a second and look at this over here. So there's a jumper right here, and I don't know if it says USB or not. Yeah, it says power. So right now it's set to USB. So in theory I should be able to see this on the computer. So I'm going to plug it in and then go over to the computer and see what's going on. So I'll go over to the desktop for a second so you can see. And essentially I'm going to bring up Device Manager. And apparently Device Manager doesn't want to drag over. And all I want to see is that it has another COM port, which is COM port 22, so it does work. but I may have to load this via a USB remote. I can't remember if that's how I do it, but we'll give it a try. Or I set something incorrectly where I forgot to set the number. So we can check in here and see if we can connect. Was that COM port 3, I think? But I'll go back and check. 22, I'm sorry. And the board does work. The problem is that I'm not seeing it as another USB device the way it's currently set up. That means I probably have to pop out the drive if I remember correctly. So I'm going to reset this so that I can set up another tutorial. And this one might go horribly wrong. You won't see sparks or anything like that, but essentially what I'm doing right now is I have to actually find the information. So I'm going to go to, what is it, MakerBase. But this is probably not going to bring us to it, so I'm going to say GitHub and click here. And to find the particular board, it's not this is brand new. So we're going to have to do Robin Nano in repositories. I'm going to click here and say Robin Nano. And so they talk about firmware. That's not really what we're looking for, but this is probably what we're looking for. So we can confirm which hardware we're working with by hopefully looking inside here. So we'll look at the pins file, and hopefully this will be the board. So they talk about, you know, the different configurations on the board. Then they say MKS Nano version 2, so that looks the same as the board. But we've got to now find out information about how to set up sensorless homing. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to click on the wiki. And inside the wiki, they have usually something for TMC 2209. And we're looking for jumper positions. So they're saying what the jumpers are. They're not saying where to put them. So when we go down here, they say the jumper settings for SPI and UART. So this is UART, which we're working with, and that's the jumper position that they're making reference to for the TMC 2209. So we now know that information. Here's where it gets interesting. They're saying the configuration port. They're talking about some other device here for their serial port. But that's confusing me because that is for something like Wi-Fi or it's for a screen. But the screen they have a port for, or they have they have 2 ports for it. And they have something else on the chip, but I don't know what it is, so we'll go look at that. So, excuse me, if we duplicate this, and we go back and back, go over to here, and we can see what the pins are. The label on the board, what they're talking about. So here it's talking about something about a TC Max 31855. I think that's a temperature sensor, but I'm not sure. But it's really strange. I've never seen that device, so I mean we could look it up and see what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's a temperature sensor of some type. And then they're talking about the TF, which I think is the Wi-Fi standard input output, maybe. That might be touch something. Oh, Wi-Fi's over here, so this is probably a touchscreen display. With that, so it's the connector over here is what they're talking about. Then you got your USB. Here's that jumper setting I was looking for earlier. So power's over here, and then USB is over here. Really weird how they write this, and then it's power over here, I think. But that's super strange how they're doing it. So I'm gonna have to, well, if they had a manual, it'd be nice, but I don't see one. Let's see if we can find anything on a manual. The README. Yeah, awesome manual. Let's check the wiki again. The wiring comparisons. Touchscreen. Huh, my videos. About white screen. Multi-extruder with single nozzle. Huh. That's not helpful. So apparently I'm not finding a lot on that, so we can test it. Let me check on the chat real quick. Well, still not bored? Okay, well, let's see if I can record a tutorial on this. But I think I'm on direct power. So I'm going to reset everything so you can actually see it. I know you're probably seeing me on the wrong screen here. Let me double check. Okay. So those are my video tutorials. Way too many of them. So we're set over here. Actually, this one. So this might be a tripping point because I think this was different. There's one way we can check it. Because sometimes they put their actual firmware up here. We can see what's going on. So this is already pre-compiled or zipped. We could probably download it. But let's see if there's a location for it here. So firmware, MKS, the Robin. Those are just for some kind of screen probably. This is probably for a screen. Oh, it's for the Wi-Fi. Go back. Marlin. Here we go. Config.h. So we want to see what the serial port is set to. So their instructions say -1. It's probably serial port 3. That's my guess. So that's what I'm going to use for now. So let's see if I'm actually going to be foolish here or not. So we'll give this a try as serial port 3. But they also have 3 here, which makes it confusing because they have it as -1 there. So that's already obvious. I know how to do that. So we'll give this a try, see how bad it goes. We'll know if it's wrong. But let's see what I can reset here. Okay, that's reset. So I'm going to go over to the workbench. And I'm going to reset the camera so it's going to go off for a second. This is so it doesn't time out midstream. I'm still trying to figure out how to keep it on continuously. Allegedly it's supposed to, but usually times out on me. And does anybody have any questions before I begin? Okay, well, I'm going to start this up in a second. I have to reset a couple of things real quick. Obviously, my folder for Visual Studio needs to go back to the default configuration. And I also have to do the default configuration for Marlin. So let me wipe that out, unzip a new one, and we'll be ready to begin any second here. So I'm going to disconnect this. I'm going to make sure I have the power supply correct. So I'm going to stage the parts. The reason I do this is so I don't have an accident and plug in the wrong thing and see sparks on the side of my table. Normally though, I'll put like a little sticky stuff on the bottom of the plug so I can lock it into place inside the screen so that people know it's disabled. Okay, so we're going to try this again. So let me just see if everything's in focus. That's as good as it's going to get. I'll check on the chat before I begin. Keep in mind this might be a mess, so we'll see what happens. But here we go. Today we're going to talk about how to install the MKS Robin Nano version 2.0 with the TMC 2209 in UART mode. So I'm going to show you a close-up of the actual stepper. So I'm going to zoom in over here. As you can see, the stepper has a bunch of writing on it. The bottom left-hand corner of the stepper, what you'll see is EN. That's making reference to this pin over here. Now the thing that you need to know is on the back of your board, which I'll show you right now, or the front of your board, pardon me, is that the enable pin is actually located right here for the X stepper, here for the Y stepper, here for the Z stepper, here for E0, and here for E1. So what we need to know is what jumper we need to set on this board in order to use UART mode for the TMC 2209. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the browser for a moment. And inside the browser, we have the GitHub page for MakerBase. I'll put a link in the description for your convenience. And just so you know, MakerBase has supplied me with both the MKS TMC 2209 and also the MKS Robin Nano version 2.0 for this tutorial. But I will place Amazon affiliate links in the description for your convenience. So to configure this, we need to know what our jumper settings are going to be. And down here, they have the UART mode that we need. The jumper is referred to right here. Between these two, they're saying equal, and that means the jumper. So to set this up, we'll go back to our workbench for a moment. We'll take a jumper and we'll place it where they said to place it. So it's right there. I'm going to push that down. And seeing how we know how to orient this board, as they've marked it green on one side, black on the other, we're going to install it that way. So I'm going to use the one with the cooling fin, just in case, so that it will cool itself by wicking away the heat. Now keep in mind, when you do this, you're using these, you should use fans on your stepper drivers, keep them cool. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is that the voltage of the integrated circuit is set to 3.3 volts according to what they have on their website. So unfortunately we can't load this directly through USB at the moment. So I'm going to pop out the actual drive and I'm going to connect it to a USB drive that we can plug into our computer. I'm going to plug that in there and I'm going to plug this into my computer. Now for wiring, I want to show you this real quick. Over here, what I've done is I've actually set this up with markings on it for voltage and ground. And I've applied ferrule connectors so that the wiring bundles stay in line and they don't fray and cause a short circuit. The safest way to actually wire your printer. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stick this in here and then tighten down these terminals. So for the moment, it's going to remain unplugged, but at least we have it configured for the power supply. So now we're going to go over to Marlin and actually configure it in VS Code. So inside VS Code, what we're going to do is first we're going to go over to Explorer, then we're going to say Open Folder, then we're going to go to Downloads, and I've already extracted the download for Marlin 2.0. So I'm going to open that up, then I'm going to go to the next folder, then I'm going to say Select Folder. Inside here, in order to configure the motherboard, what we need to do is go to the Marlin folder, the source folder, the core folder, and then boards.h. Then inside here, we're going to search on Robin, and we're looking for the Nano V2. So we're going to copy that. We're then going to close the core folder, the source folder, and go to configuration.h. Inside configuration.h, we're going to search on motherboard, and the current default configuration is ramps. We're going to paste over that. Then I'm going to scroll up, and I'm actually going to change the serial port to 3. And then I'm going to search on our steppers, which is the A4988. And inside here, I'm going to remove the comment so we can use our X stepper. And I'm going to find the TMC2209, and I copy that. Then I'm going to paste it over the A4988. And then I'm going to show you how to set this up over here. So down here we have default access steps per unit. Currently it's 80. But this is also tied to a setting on the configuration advanced. So I'm going to click on this for a moment, and I'm going to search on 800. Then I'm going to move all the way down to where our X current is set. And the value that we're interested in right now is 16. That is tied to our configuration.h. So if we were to change this to 160 to double the resolution, we then have to change this to 32. So I'll show you another example. We'll take the 160 and change it to 320. That means that we have to change it over here to 64. And if we change this to 128, that means that we need to change this value to 640. So that increases the resolution. Next, I need to show you inverting. So inside here, I'm going to search on invert. And normally, what I would tell you to do is actually switch this to whatever you're using. But in this case, because we're using sensorless homing in this case, we're going to have to check our board to make sure that we have the jumper set for the X stepper for sensorless homing. So to do that, what we're going to have to do is go over to our board for a moment and make sure that we have that set. I may already have it in there, but I'll show you what it looks like. So over here is our jumper. So I'll pull this out. That needs to be on in order to use sensorless homing. So I'm going to place this back down in here. Push that down. And that is what we need to make sure is set up. So it's either going to go left or right based on the settings in VS Code. So as you can see right here, if you want it to go right or left, you're going to either have to change it to true or false. So the other way that you can do it is actually reverse your DuPont connector 180 degrees. And I'll show you that in a moment because I still don't have it connected. So next thing that we need to do is set up our environment. So we need to go over configuration.h. I want to actually turn on debugging first. So we're going to search on TMC_debug. And we're going to remove the comment for monitor driver status. Then we're going to search on it again so that we can get the G code to use to monitor it, which is TMC debug. It's M122. And then we also want to set up sensorless homing. So we're going to search on sensorless, and it's actually up one. And right here is how we enable it. So we need to remove the comment in order to set that up. The other thing we need to do is change this value because this is for SPI. So our range is right here for TMC. So the optimal range that I found is 125, seems to work well enough. So we're going to do that. Now there is something you can do for sensorless homing for homing bump. You can actually change this so that the offset after it homes backs off. There's a bunch of different settings for this already, but you can do it for sensorless homing right here. So you could exaggerate this number for your X and make it 20 millimeters, and it would then back off. So that's what I'm going to do for the moment, just so you can see the functionality of this. So it'll go to the end of the access bump and then back off 20 millimeters, if the measurements are correct. So now that we have that set, we're going to go to platformio.ini. We have to search on Robin _nano. And here's the actual configuration that we need to copy. So I'm going to copy that. That's going to be our environment. So I'm going to go back up to the top. I'm then going to change our current default environment for the Mega 2560 by pasting it right here. And that should be set. So we're going to clean to make sure that we don't have a build in the way. And then we're going to build with a checkbox. Then we'll copy the firmware over manually to the SD drive. Now this may take a few moments to compile, compiling a lot of files. And it's moving into our .pio folder, which is right here. So once this is complete, we're going to click on our .pi folder, .pio, pardon me. Then we're going to go to our build folder, our MKS Nano folder, right click, say reveal and explorer. We're going to open that folder. We're going to find not firmware.bin, but we're going to have to use the Robin _nano 35. So we're going to right click and we're going to send that to our USB drive. This may take a second depending upon the USB drive. There also might be an issue with the USB drive, so we can verify it by going over here. And it looks like we copied the correct thing over because the previous build changes to all capital letters and then ends in CUR for current. So now that we have that done, we're going to remove it from the computer. And then we're going to go back over to our desktop. Now on our desktop, we have a couple of things we have to do. So I'm going to pop out the drive. I'm going to place it inside the Nano, or the Robin Nano. We need to connect the actual connection over here for our stepper driver. So we have X, Y, Z, E0, and E1. We have the power connected, so we're good there. Our jumper is set to direct power, we hope. So I'm going to connect this first. It may load the firmware for us if there's a flashing light someplace here. But nothing's happening yet, so I'm going to power the actual system up. Then I'm going to go over to Pronterface. So inside Pronterface, we need to connect to this. Now I already know what the actual COM port is, so I'm going to connect. Now it says the printer is online. So I'm going to first try and move the X-axis to see what happens. So it looks like it's moving. So let's try homing it. So it looks like it homed fine. It looks like the homing bump didn't work though, but that's okay. We can go in and play with those settings some other time. But if you like my tutorial, please press the like button and subscribe, and thank you for your time. Okay, that one was slightly better. Apparently I made a mistake in the previous one that people probably already know what it is. When I uploaded the SKR, I made a mistake, so I'm gonna have to delete that video. Apparently, I forgot to tell people about the homing fins. Or, excuse me, not the homing fins, the cooling fins, and cooling it with a fan. So, that tutorial is useless now. But, lesson learned, sometimes I make mistakes. Well, I make mistakes obviously more often than most people, but now you can see the fun with that. Right now I'm live streaming the actual making of tutorials. It's extremely dry. Essentially I'm showing some of the process that I go through. So essentially I made a video just now in OBS while live streaming, and I'm actually going to take that video and then upload it. And hopefully I haven't already made this tutorial before, which is sometimes the case. So what I'm going to do is check real quick to see that I haven't made this before, hopefully. But I'm running behind on tutorials lately, so I like to make sure that I've got people caught up with what is out there now and exists. So what I need to do is actually go over to my playlist, which I won't show you at the moment because I'm guessing it's already in there. I'm gonna start to play in the background.
You can make as many videos as you want, and you never need to pick up a camera.
I actually want to look at my playlist, and it's not showing it to me. And it's showing me an ad on my own stuff, which is super strange. No way to close it. There we go. So, Robin playlist. No, I haven't done this one before. That's awesome. So I'll show you how the upload works. If you want to see this, it's kind of boring. Let me move over to a screen that you can see. And let me make sure you can see it. Okay. All I'm doing is to upload a video. I click here, upload, and then I map to the actual file. In this case, it's one I recorded today, and it's the most recent one, which would be this one. So I'm going to click open. And I'm going to say that it's the MKS Robin Nano V2.0. Then I'm going to say it's the TMC 2209 UART with sensorless homing. Essentially, that's all I'm doing right now. So I'm just sticking it in a playlist. Obviously, I've got a couple playlists I got to sort through to find it. More information. I have to XML tag it. That means explain where it was done, when it was done, what's in it. So put in the city. You don't have to do that, but I always do it. But this would be like MKS Robin Nano. I can spell V2.0, enter, and then TMC 2209 UART. Of course, UART's not spelled right. There we go. Then there's TMC 2209 sensorless homing. Of course, I got to spell it some way that it actually makes sense. Then enter, and do that on and on until hopefully someone likes it. Then I go back over here, say it's done. Next. Suitable for all audiences. Next. And basically just wait. It's unlisted, so you won't see it until I finish closed captioning. And that's all I'm doing, is basically doing a lot of funky stuff with my uploads. But a lot of people have been asking for tutorials, and I gotta make them. Sometimes live stream might be a good time to show people what's involved in making them. But let me check on the chat, because I know this is very dry stuff. Wow, a lot of people are watching me make tutorials. That's interesting. Does anybody have actual questions on boards that they want to ask about? Because I'm trying to do this a little bit longer than normal now that I've got my car on the right side of the street. I don't have to run out the door. Let me grab some orange juice. Wet the whistle. Is there anybody from Poland in here right now? This orange juice. Is it Pama Anchovy or something? You guys don't mind me asking, is everybody comfortable saying where they're from? If you're not, you don't have to tell me anything. Kind of helps me dictate which language I might say something in. It's a way to see if I can pronounce things correctly. I'm guessing several people are from UK. I don't see anybody from Poland here today. Well, maybe. But how's everybody doing? Is there something on their printers that they want to figure out? So should I say, was it bonsoir ça va in French for Canada? Or do you want me to speak in English? Because apparently that's the language I'm most adept at, we'll say. So you're on the other side of the lake. Because we're both sitting on Lake Ontario, I believe. If you're in northern Toronto, that's just the other side of the lake. And for people that don't know it, the lake is not a tiny lake. It's, what, is it the second or third biggest in the world? And Lake Ontario also has its own weather system, we'll say. It's called lake effect, where, like, if winter comes and blows up the coast to us, the lake will push it away if it's warm. If the lake is cold, it'll snow like the North Pole. I don't know if the same thing happens in Canada, because we're on the opposite side of the lake. Yeah, it's the third biggest lake. Do you guys get lake effect? Because we obviously do. We're right next to Buffalo, but I guess last year we got more than Buffalo. Oh, so when it blows in that direction, you guys get clobbered with snow, is what you're saying. Yeah, Rochester's usually gets hit by it, but the last couple years have been somewhat not bad. Of course, tonight's bad night, but what is it? I think it's 20 degrees out, which most people think in Fahrenheit, so that's like below zero. Yeah, you are further north. But right now it's negative, what? Something in Celsius. I'm trying to say it like 6 Celsius or something. I have to actually look it up because I don't know what the Celsius conversion is for 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit. Of course, it wants to tell me about Fahrenheit 451 every time I type that in to Celsius. For those that don't know, Fahrenheit 451 is a book about book burning. But I'm not going to talk about it because I'm not an English major. Oh, it's negative 6.6667. So I was off by 2/3 of a degree Celsius. Not a bad guess. Obviously, I don't think in Celsius. normally, except for printers, so low temperatures confuse me. I know 0 is, or sorry, 32 in Fahrenheit is 0 Celsius, and 100 is boiling in Celsius, and 180 is boiling in Fahrenheit. But in between or outside those, it's a little hard for me to remember. Unless I do the conversion. But let's see if we have any questions here. Was looking at the 1.4 SKR Turbo. Yeah, the Turbo's a great board. Everybody seems to like it. Oh, it's a negative 11 degrees, so you guys are like negative... I'm sorry, you guys are close to 0 Fahrenheit, I think? Yeah, the wind is out tonight, so, I mean, things freeze quick. I don't know if anybody's ever seen me do the frozen hot water thing. I'll show you guys the video. It's kind of boring. So you're going to buy an Ender 5 Plus from Big Tree Tech's website. How much are they going for on the Big Tree website? Because I haven't done, I haven't purchased an Ender 5 Plus because I have 3 Ender 3s. And I think on other printers that I built from scratch, so it's kind of lame. I've been only showing you guys actually pre-built printers lately instead of actual ones that I built. Because the last one I built kind of looks like the Ender 5 or Ender 3 now. But that's a story within itself. Oh, you're looking to put a new main board in it? Yeah, the Ender 5 is going to be a little bit of a project. We're trying to do that as a live stream. Right now we're waiting on parts. There's someone in Australia that's doing it, and I'm trying to walk them through a stream. So hopefully in the next couple of days he'll get those parts, but there seems to be some kind of shipping issue where he can't purchase them directly from other countries except the US. So he has to wait for the parts to arrive. But let me pull up this funny video that I did years ago. At least you'll see that it's cold here. This might be entertaining or not. I gotta find the playlist because it's really old. When I was trying to learn to use a camera. And of course it plays a commercial on me and doesn't show me my playlist. Go back again, full playlist. Cold in New York State. I think that's the one. So I'll bring this over so you can see what I'm doing in a second. Oh, it was 8 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a good one. Let me change you to the screen you can see. So this is from a long time ago. It's 2018. So I'm just basically throwing hot water in the air. It's no longer, well, some of it's no longer hot. Some of it did land on me. Super boring video. Oh, I did it again, I forgot. It's
okay,
actually colder.
0 degrees out Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that's what happens to hot water. Little boring.
Okay, no one's ever seen me
And
do
now
this
I'm doing
before,
some super
except
lame
for people
video
that
I'm
saw
trying to
me
shut
work in a
down so you
restaurant,
don't
so
hear it because
this is
I'm
gonna be
not a big
kind of
fan of it.
amusing.
And apparently it's still playing.
This is the dessert menu for the restaurant I used to work.
There we go. Sorry about that. I don't want to talk about working in a restaurant. So let me go back over here and see what you're saying because I know that was kind of boring. Yeah, Winnipeg can be very cold, I hear. But I do like throwing the hot water in the air and watching it turn to snow. But sometimes I'm not smart and it doesn't turn to snow. It turns to hot water landing on me. I'm not sure what bees mean. Is that like there's bees in Winnipeg or something? Or is that somebody else just jumping in? Okay, well, is there something you guys want to see me work on? Because apparently I'm goofing up my videos now, so nothing's sparking today, so I guess that's a good day. Oh, for the E5 Plus, an SKR 1.4 will work. Depends upon what you want to do with it. Do you want to print with one print head or two print heads? Because it is a little overkill if you don't have dual extrusion. The SKR version 1.4 adds or has a little extra functionality that you don't need, but it's actually a very good priced board. You can check on the camera here. Sorry, it's 30 minutes and then it times out. Is it an MKS ramps board or is it do you mean a Big Tree Tech board? Because the MKS, there's several flavors of MKS. There's 32-bit, there's 8-bit. I preferred the MKS for a long time, but now I'm kind of sold on SKRs and Big Tree Tech. I still work with, obviously, the MakerBase boards. So I will use used up E0, E1 on extruders. What's a good MOSFET solution for a parts cooling fan? Buy one or build one? There's ones you can buy, but it depends upon what you want to do. I usually use a... Let me see if I've got the part nearby. It's called a... there it is. I actually do have it. Sorry, I just have to dig it out of my container. So this little thing, designed for the ramps, but you can use it by using jumper pins and set it up for your particular configuration. I did several videos on it. With the MKS, or well, I did MKS and I did ramps. I think I also did the SKR version 1.3. I'd have to actually look in my playlist to see, but that's essentially what the part is. On top, it's got a power pin. You can only use 12-volt fans on this, and then you have your jumpers that you can jump to. Or I'm sorry, these are the fan ports. So you get two fan ports that are on here, and then you can use two signal pins underneath, but I can't remember if it's the inner two or outer two inside here. But I did a video on it a while ago, so it might explain more to you how to use it. But it runs off 12 volts, so you can just jump it to your power supply. Let me see if there's a video for the ramps on that. Or not the ramps, the SKR. It's a long time ago that I did this, so I might not remember which one it is. Let's see, playlists. Want to view the playlist instead of playing it, because that makes a lot of noise. Sorry, I got a couple of playlists to sort through here. It's probably the SKR. There it is. Like fan extender or something is what I called it. Fan control. It might be in there. Or it might not be. But I can show you an example of it in ramps. I know I have that. But it's not a super good example because I didn't talk about both fan ports, I don't think. Let's see, where's my ramps playlist? Smart ramps. Here it is. Ramps tutorials. 1.4 ramps tutorials. Inside here, something called the fan extender, I think is what I called it. Been forever and a day since I've done this one. Yeah, fan extension, well, excuse me, fan extender expansion module is what I think I called it. Hang on, let me pull the video up here. Gotta look at the description. So essentially, I say what it is. So I'll give you a link to it. You're going to have to do jumper pins to run it on your particular configuration. Let's see if I can paste it into the chat. So that's the video where I talk about it. It's probably not that good a video because it's several years old and Marlin's changed a lot, but that might help. If you're using 24 volts, you're either going to have to step down or you're going to have to find a different way to do that. On certain boards, you can run multiple signal pins. I think the MKS S-Gen L version 2 will give you multiple signal pins. Let me see if I can pull that up. So I'll bring you over to the browser so I can show you what I'm doing. So inside here, if you search on, well, actually we're on the GitHub. So I just have to bring you back to here and find the MKS S-Gen. And it's this board right here. If you look at the data sheet, well, hardware probably be better. One of these two, the pinouts. This tells you a little bit about what's going on with the board. So if you look closely here, you can see fan 1 and fan 2. This one you can do either 12 or 24 volts for power. So your output's going to be 12 or 24 volts over here. So you've got one signal pin and then you got two signal pins. Then this is direct power. I think there's another one on the board someplace, but I could be wrong. Okay, so it's only 3. Oh, I'm sorry, there it is. Right next to it. So these two are actually runoff signals. So you can actually specify these pins in your configuration advanced to run 2 fans. So that's a plus for this board that I like. Or you can just run direct fan power off these power slots. I hope that's helpful to you. That's one possible solution. Let me see if I missed any questions here. Yeah, you can probably use the fan extender on your MKS board, but you got to run it at 12 volts for this one. This little board that I showed you will actually catch on fire or burst into flames if you do more than 12 volts. Although it's rated, allegedly, possibly for more voltage, I would suggest only 12 volts because it'll start to smoke probably after that. Let's see what we got here. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Let's see. I have an AnyPrint old maker bot, kind of a clone I'm wiring in a SKR 1.3. I have tutorials actually on that. on wiring it for 1.3, 1.4, and obviously the turbo. I also have SKR Pro, GTR. I think I did 1 or 2 tutorials on a couple other things. Some of them were in live stream. What's this? Got a quick question. Can you tell me what you think of dual dry extruders on the Big Tree Tech website? I actually like that one. It's the same one as there's one that's made exactly like it. It's got the same name. As long as it has 2 inputs, they curve down to 1 output. Or you can do 2 separate outputs, but I prefer 2 inputs to 1 output. And I'll show you a picture of one. I actually have one on my desk. So this is the one I used. This is actually the Big Tree Tech one. Let me bring up the... So here's the one that I used. I actually bought 2 of these because I was doing a conversion on the Ender 3 so I can make 2 colors. The problem that I ran into on this one is that what you can see right here is that there's filament stuck in it. I could probably melt it out. They don't make a replacement piece yet for this. But what I had screwed up with on this one is when you put your actual PTF tubing in, you got to push it all the way down into here. If you forget to do that, that's what you get. So on the second one, I didn't make that mistake, but I had to buy 2 initially just to figure out how to do this. I'm actually trying to take it apart. I actually like this quite a lot. I mean, I could put another link description for Amazon affiliate links so you can find it, but it's also on Amazon so you can get it slightly quicker. There's another one called Solvol, I think, and it's the exact same design. I also made a design so you can hold this on your printer for the Ender 3. So I made an actual side carriage. I actually have one right here that I can show you. So I made this part so that you can stick it on your X carriage and it fits inside it. This is on Thingiverse. And basically this is set to be the shape of this. Just slide this in, then you stick your bolts through it right here, and this is secured onto here. And below that, this secures into your X carriage. So then you can put your fan here and secure your wires right here. And I go through how to change the firmware for it, but it's a somewhat abbreviated video, because if I were to show you this in real time, it would take about 3 hours to set up the printer. But it's pretty simple. The fan will actually clip on here for the front of this to cool it. Oh, dual drive? I'm not sure. You're talking about the actual feeding of filament? Yeah, the Nano V3 I haven't ordered yet, so I don't know how well that works. I might be able to get them to send me one, but we had some issues with me being able to do tutorials and actually affiliate link them, so I don't know how well that's going between us. Let's see. The dual extrusion. Not dual extrusion. You want dual... hang on, let me pull up the website and maybe you can direct me to where it is. I'll move it over there so you can see it in a second. So let's see. Products. They've changed their website around a little bit. See, that's an extruder. EL Touch. I'm not exactly sure which product you're referring to because I don't see it. Huh. EEPROM. Interesting. This I tried. I don't recommend it. That's just my opinion. Okay, I don't see it. Maybe you can direct me to where I need to go. Let me go over and bring up the browser. So where on the website did you see it? Dual drive, you passed it. It's red. Okay. Go back. Talking about the TC hot end kit. What are you talking about? Oh, this. Let's see. This is actually a different design than the normal one that I'm used to, but I mean it works. I buy cheaper. Let me see if I've got one nearby that you can see. Probably have it in a bin over here. I'll bring up the browser in a second, or excuse me, the desktop so you can see. This is normally what I work with, the metal one. I install these usually when mine wear out, but this was about the same price, and it's just as good. You could probably get these for about $5 actually. They're probably located. Let's see, it's extruding mechanism. So if you were to search on like eBay or something like that, you could probably find it cheaper than $13.58. I'm guessing it's closer to about $7-8. If you search for it, I've got about 10 of them, but that's for other printers. I haven't made videos on those. I built a tricolor printer that I actually never tested, but I got it to work for feeding and then gave up on it and sold the printer. So let's see what we got here. So that part was supposed to be dual drive, is what you're saying? Are you yelling at my screen or your screen? They do pull things down quickly on their website, so it's kind of hard to find them. If I've got it up still. Well, looks like I don't have it up, but we're about an hour and a half in, and what I'm going to do is probably have a long stream on Friday and Saturday. Depends upon what goes on in Australia. Is it, when you say dual drive, do you mean 2 metal gears that feed, or are you talking about 2 steppers that feed? Yeah, I mean, $13 is or $14 is, I think, expensive. I'm used to paying like $5 for them, but I can't seem to find a link. Let me see if I can find metal extruding maybe. So on eBay, you can get them for $9.89. I'll pull it up so you can see. It's essentially the same thing. Got to bring it over to the chat now. So that's a little bit cheaper. I know it's even cheaper than that. They were around $5-6 when I bought them years ago, but that was like 3 or 4 years ago. But I bought them in bulk, so here's one for $7.99. And if you buy in bulk, they get cheaper. So this is slightly cheaper. Yeah, I understand it's not dual drive. I'm not sure what dual drive looks like, but the one I'm looking at, I'll bring up the page and then you can tell me if it's right. This one says dual drive extruder. So what I can tell from this is that it's got gearing here, and it's got gearing here that probably meshes into this so that you're pushing between these, but they could be one and the same. So we'd have to look at the parts list, because they might be, one might go on the motor, and this, yeah, they are 2 different pieces. This one goes on the actual NEMA stepper. This one goes on the motor, and then these gears mesh together. That's where the filament is run through. So I've never actually tried one of these. I'm guessing it's kind of reliable, but I just prefer the cheap metal ones. That's my opinion. Obviously, people are going to disagree with it and let me know how much better it is. But I've never used one of these. It looks interesting, but I'd have to wait and try it someday when I actually break one. But these don't seem to break on me, so I haven't replaced any. But my whole thought process is how to bring 3D printing to you guys as cheap as possible. I don't want to have you guys spend more money than you need to. Yeah, there might be less slippage. And it's a cool design, but normally I use a bearing that's driven next to this, and that's fine for me. But obviously different opinions, different ideas. Unfortunately, I don't have any info on how well it works. I can tell you the one that I have that I bought for the Creality works fine. It's not dual connected. It has a bearing on mine. Yeah, I'd actually have to buy one to actually try it out. At the moment, I don't have a use case for it. I do like that the filament seems to feed right through, though. If you see, when I'm looking at this right here, there's a filament out that's right next to here, so the alignment is good, so you don't have to worry about aligning yours. So this normally has to be aligned in the well, either up or down on your feed for your stepper, but this is already in position, so all you have to do is align this part. So there is the advantage of that there, and so the filament will feed right out or feed through here into here pretty easily, and it's kept in alignment. So I mean, that is a plus to it. Other than that, I don't know. Obviously, I'd have to try one to know for sure. Let's see. BMG and 3D Perma. What we got here? Apparently my web browser is not working for me at the moment. That's awesome. Right over here. So I'm guessing that they're doing something with this. Unfortunately, I can't see it on this website, and I don't want to play their video by accident. We can get in a little bit of trouble if I do that. Try this. Do an image search. Well, I'm not finding a lot of information on it. But I'm guessing it's something like that. So it looks like a geared together way of rolling it through. I broke my web browser? Only for a second. It might be that I'm kind of eating up the computer power right now between streams and recording and editing, so. But I'm not streaming multiple streams right now, so that's good. Meaning I'm not streaming and recording at the same time. But for those that don't know, I do keep a Discord. I'll show you this real quick. If you have questions or suggestions for possible things you want to see, I have a YouTube request thing right here. And I'm guessing that someone already put in a request for dual Z motor axis leveling on the SKR. Yeah, that's a fun one. I can show people that one, but that's going to take a little bit of time. And I'll probably do it on glass. But I might convert that over to using a Surface. But that's a request someone has. I actually have a printer that can do that. Just now that I have the new jig in place for recording, I might be able to fit it in to the table without too much of a mess. But the problem is it's going to be a top view until I can set up side views, which hopefully I'll make the mods to that this week, where I can sweep in a camera so you can see from the side. But right now it's just top down. But it's getting kind of late, guys, here. I'm going to have to work in the morning. But if you have a request, you can put it in there on the website for Discord. And Discord link is in the description. For those that are tipping either through, Super Chats or Patreon or PayPal, I have to thank you in advance if I miss out on it. I try and thank people every day, but unfortunately today we're at almost the 2-hour mark. It's about 1 hour and 45 minutes, and I've worked about 9 hours today, so I'm gonna get some rest. But everybody be safe, take care, and I'll see you Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll also be changing the time for Monday to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time due to work. And then on Saturdays, it's usually 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And during the week, I might do a pop-up stream depending upon questions that might need to be answered. Thanks, Dave. But for now, I gotta get some sleep because obviously you can see that my voice is starting to wear out. And I want y'all to take care and be safe, and we'll meet again Friday. Thank you very much.